Hey guys, me again, and I'm just going to do this last video to kind of wrap everything together and fill in all the holes that I left out in the first video that was pretty long actually. So I'll go through a level 70 run. This will have some useful information for any type of run you're doing. So this is the screen you'll come to at first. Don't worry about the season journey. Um, that's something for endgame content, so we're not worried about that particular thing. Across the bottom, we have our profile, and we can see just general information. We have the leaderboards, which we're not concerned with. We have achievements, and we have our game menu. The escape is where you get to the gameplay controls that I showed you before. Again, a key element is disabling quick join. Game settings is going to be a very familiar thing. So adventure mode is free roam. Any runs are done in campaign. You'll want to be at this particular quest. When you finish the game, that one's marked off, and because I'm not resuming, it's starting new. When you finish, this reset quest button will light up. You can click it, and what it will allow you to do is type reset, and then blank out all the quests in this list. Why is it not showing everything, you might ask? It's because I ran into some trouble here, and I quit my run at this particular point. So that's why that's not done. But I can go back and reset anytime after I quit. Thing about Diablo, and see the background changed when I adjusted my game settings. So staying in adventure mode, I'll save. I can change my hero to whatever. From here I can create a new one. I mentioned that there was hardcore and seasonal. Hardcore, same as D2, that's permanent. Seasonal hero, sorry about the coughing. Seasonal hero is really up to you. In any speedrun, you're not allowed to use what's called your Paragon points, and that's the blue number. How those work is once you get to level 70, there will be different categories that you can put points into, and the intent is to have more character progression after you reach max level. So I'll show you from this character that has 761 points. So you have 4 categories: core, offense, defense, and utility. They all have an amount of points assigned to them. I mentioned earlier that in any run you're not allowed to use them. That's not true. In New Game Plus, these can be assigned. If you're creating a completely new character and there are Paragon points, which there are going to be because they're account-wide, nothing would be set. So as you saw me do when I created my fresh character, I pressed P to get the notification away. But if I was going for my conquest, at that point I would assign everything. I'm almost at 800, and 800 is a pretty important marker if you're doing a level 70 run, because everything in these 3 categories with a 50 maximum will be completed. So you'll have points in everything. And here, depending on your build and character, you probably won't be using vitality. Everything goes into your main stat and move speed. Other builds in the game will rely on maximum resource. For my monk, it's spirit. for this particular build in a level 70 run, what I'll be concerned with is being able to spam my dashing strike. And I found a build online that would help with resource management. And a familiar site from D2, which works actually a lot better in this game, is Kenai's Cube. It works a lot like the Heredra Cube, but better. There are different recipes, and the one we're concerned with right now is the legendary powers. And this is how you do it. You have to complete something that's called bounties. You get materials, you extract the power, and then it will give you the base effect of whatever item. So for this particular weapon in Geom, I have the effect of my cooldowns being reduced for 10 seconds, by 10 seconds, for 15 seconds after killing an elite pack. That coupled with my bracers, in this particular instance, would probably slow me down if I was aiming for every shrine, because now I would have to kill that elite pack and then move on. So this is really just there for damage. It's not something I'm intending. I want to keep my resource at maximum, so I have what's called a helmet from bounties called Pride's Fall. My resource costs are reduced by 30% after not taking damage for 5 seconds, and that will be on a lot. I have my Cinder Coat, which reduces the cost of my fire skills, and I know I don't have fire going on right now, and that was just me testing Dashing Strike with something else. The best one to use in this case would be Radiance, because again, it's fire. And it would be affected by the Cinder Coat. The next is the Cruda's Boots, which modifies Mystic Ally. You get double the effect. So I have Air Ally for Spirit Regeneration. Passively I get 4 per second for one ally. But because I should have double the effect, I have double that amount of spirit. So with everything considered, I can look at my details by going for I, click details, and then it would be spirit regeneration per second, which everything included is 12 because of my pants. My resource generation and damage is increased by 25% while moving and decreased by 25% while standing still. So I would get more by moving, which is the intent of the run, and a lot less by standing still. Moving can be done by force move or just by clicking on a spot. To get more spirit, I put Breath of Heaven on here, although it's not something I'm going to use very often. So I won't touch that. My potion, there are a set of bottomless potions that you can just keep reusing. Basically, they heal you for 60% of your life constantly, and all of them have a various effect. And this one, when you're below a certain amount of health, it will teleport you to a different spot, and you have to wait 30 seconds between each use. My experience bar, which I know I didn't go over before, is right here. It's lit up because I got one of those wells I was speaking about in another video, which was a pool of reflection, which will give me 25% extra experience. And that experience is equal to a portion of my level. So it will show when it ends, and this one happens to go Hast. Okay, so here's a pool of reflection. If I was to click it, it would just add. You need, well, it caps it around 10. Yes, it caps at 10. And that's equivalent to the amount of experience you would need for an entire level. So if I were to get one fresh, and let's say I lost all my bonuses, this getting one pool may hit the end of my level, and that's it. And then it would pass once I got enough experience. Everything I'm wearing is geared to do a lot of damage because I want my boss fights to be short on a level 70 speedrun. In terms of Act 1, you are going to do things quite quickly, and thankfully we have our boss marked off as a bounty, so we can find her quite quickly. Pardon my spastic movements. Really, I never want to run out of dash. So generally, she would have different breakpoints and she would hide, but if I kill her fast enough, I can break that. And it's a much faster fight. And down she goes. So she drops her loot. I don't care in this instance what dropped, I would just move ahead. The things that will take you a lot of time are mainly the boss animations. Skeleton King has one coming in, but you can leave while he's dying. The Butcher will be taken down in one shot. The Diablo fight has 3 stages. You can't skip them like the Spider Queen. Rakanoth is pretty easy. Diablo is pretty easy. Iswal is the same, but he may hold you up a bit because of his cold attacks. The faster you can take him down, the better. Sadea is one that will hold you up quite a bit sometimes because she has 2 stages. You will end up fighting her twice, and you really need to watch out for your splits. There's going to be one portion where you fight her, and you're only going to get her about halfway down in health, and then you'll have to advance and then actually fight her again at this area. And no, she is not in the Tower of the Curse level 1, she is further down. These maps are going to have a pretty linear layout as well. I could have gone in either direction on most maps, but this one doesn't join up, and I never would have been able to port down on that. So I'd go to level 2. What you're seeing is generally what you're going to get in story mode as well in terms of map. On this particular one, oh no, it's not this one, never mind. Yeah, on this particular one, it's going to always loop in that fashion. And then here, in the Heart of the Cursed, is where you'll want to split this boss. Easy. Malthael is going to be a bit tricky to find, and so will Urzael and Adria. These can cause you a lot of time delays. The Pandemonium Fortress level 2, though, the one piece of advice I can give is generally just once you exit the main area, there's going to be teleport pads. I'm being directed to Malthael right now, and obviously I don't have anything revealed, but I'm always going to want to check up. And what I'm looking for is a little portal that will teleport me, just like in the Arcane Sanctuary of D2, to another platform. There. Right here. Death Gate. So I want to skip everything, go to my gate, and just follow this line. Bam, level 3. This fight won't be too bad for you, but I'm going to do it to show his phases. The quicker you kill him, the more he can skip. But the more likely scenarios you're going to get are his cloud over there. Again, I skipped a lot of it because I damaged him so much like the Spider Queen. He always does that. What you're going to see in story mode is all of his stages, so one of them will be the first one where you saw him come and attack me. And yes, that's his entire death animation. When that happens in story mode, Tyrael will walk out this way. You'll talk to him, he'll stop about here. The Malthael fight is going to start very easy. He's going to basically come at you. The next phase is going to involve him being in the center. There will be things shooting at you. You'll just have to avoid them. Having a follower around will help you block a lot of that. Another phase will include things that swirl around here. Basically, you'll just want to hang around the perimeter and not get hit. After that, he's going to have a little aura around him, much like mine is. A lot of his damage is cold, so just being aware of that will be good. One of his last phases is going to be him in the center, and he's going to do an attack that will engulf most of the map, and you'll have to pay attention to which direction he's facing. So when he lands the first time, it's most likely going to be this way. You'll want to be here. And you'll want to get there as fast as you can, because the rest of the area will be unsafe. So you'll have maybe here and here to stand. You can still attack him, but it's better to stay away. And that is about it for him. Because I completed the bounty, it's not really doing much of anything for me. So if I didn't go over it, I have a Mystic Ally for Spirit Regen. I have Dashing Strike, once again with reduced cost. I have Sweeping Wind. For more spirit regeneration, and I have Kiyoshiro's Soul to give me 2 stacks while it's not doing damage to enemies, which will be a lot of the time because we'll be dashing, and anything that's happening during my dash doesn't really count. It would have to be after I stop. Epiphany with Insight again, more spirit regen. My Mantra of Healing, again, more spirit regen. I have movement speed increase in Fleet-Footed. I have more spirit regen with Exalted Soul and more of it. Momentum is just for damage and cooldowns. Beacon of Utar. They need to be balanced pretty well on my gear. But generally I will want to have a good spread on my slots. There's more detail on these builds over at Diablo Fans. There's quite a few written guides. I know I'm going over it pretty quickly. As for my Paragon points, one thing I could have done is put maximum resource, maximum movement, and maximum dexterity. One thing you want to pay attention to is movement speed, and this is something I didn't check before. I'm just going to make a minor tweak. Your base movement speed is capped at 25%. So having any more points than 14% in movement speed is a bad idea. My passive skill, though, will give me a flat increase. That's better. So now we're at 25. Dashing strike with radiance. So I was using Quicksilver just as a test. Way of the Falling Star is good in other scenarios, but for this one, the movement speed after you stop is really kind of pointless because you want to be using dash as often as you can. You don't actually want to be walking very much, so there's no point in having that available. Other than that, I think that's about it. If I didn't explain the cube well enough, I have the Royal Ring of Grandeur. These two items are attained by bounties. That's adventure mode. And once again on the recipe, all adventure mode stuff, endgame content. There's a lot more written guides on how exactly everything works because I could spend hours going through what each particular slot is meant for. There are 13 gear slots. I generally want to have a socket on my jewelry. I want an emerald in my weapon, things like that. All good for another day. But a setup like this for the monk is great in terms of resource management because I can use dash basically as much as I want, and if I happen to get a little cozy on a resource, I can just pop my Mystic Ally and get 100 spirit back, and during Epiphany my spirit regen is extremely high. I can show you what it gets to, pants included. So here's my base regen. This is it moving, and this is it with my talent on, and you can see that it basically negates the cost of a dash because in 1 second I will get my spirit back. That's for monk, and I mentioned wizard is a good class to run. If these guides, pardon me, get a lot of views, and if anyone wants to know, I can go through wizard as a class because I have a pretty good run on that particular one. I believe I completed the campaign in an hour and 11 minutes, which is pretty good for solo, but not worthy enough for the quest. There are runs on Monk and Demon Hunter that were accomplished in under an hour. It's not the most competitive category, but in terms of a wizard run, mine was pretty good again. Monk, there's a lot of area to improve. Generally, people will want to do a new game run. To keep it interesting, you can go on normal, or you can change to hard, or even try on hardcore mode. Hard will give you more experience, and you get more the higher you go. by default, if you've played the game before and you're starting a new character, you should have Torment 6 available. You probably won't go that high because it's going to be extremely difficult and the mobs will have a lot of health. So it's going to take you a lot more effort to gear from that point on and stay alive. So let's create a new hero. We'll make it seasonal, just for fun, and we'll make it a monk. So yes, confirmed we only have up to Torment 6. Everything else is locked out because my character isn't max level yet, so confirmed on that front. If you haven't done campaign mode before, what you're going to be limited to is, I believe it's Master. Torment won't be available until you've done everything. I think it's either Hard, Expert, or Master you're limited to. Generally though, if you're doing a 70 plus run, you've done all of it, so you should have everything available. More Paragon points is better for level 70 runs. Yeah, I think that's about it. Again, if these guides get some views and get some traction, I'll do some more in-depth coverage of the game, but it's pretty basic. It's geared towards getting you to endgame content, so a lot of things are just pick up good damage and move. The monsters will scale with your level. So if you're level 1, so are the monsters. You're level 2, etc., etc. It's all the same. So if you watch a lot of speedruns from new games, you'll see people running past a lot of things. Mainly because the monsters aren't any more powerful level-wise than they are. So they could be level 10 or lower at the Butcher and still beat him. Because, again, the levels match. So hope you enjoyed that. And again, if you have any questions, feel free, and I'll see you soon.